Hi friends, it's Liv and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. If you are, hi, my name is Liv. It is so nice to finally meet you. So for today's video, I figured I'm a big Rick Riordan fan. I mention him in basically every video I have ever made. So I figure, why not make a video completely devoted to Rick Riordan? So for those of you who may not have ever read anything by Rick Riordan and you'd like to but you don't know where to start, I am here to help you. So Rick Riordan has 5 confirmed series, 4 of which are already completed, and a bunch of novellas in between that all take place in the same world. So it can get a bit confusing, but fear not. I am here to help you today to give you the best chronological reading order of all of these different series to ensure that you have the best reading experience possible with the least amount of spoilers. There are quite a few books here that I'm about to mention to you, so sit back, grab yourself a snack, and let's dive right in. Okay, so first and foremost, we are going to talk about the original series that kickstarted it all, which is the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. Yes, I have the movie cover. Logan Lerman's hot. That's all I have to say on that subject. So the original Percy Jackson series follows a boy named Percy Jackson who is 12 years old, and he finds out that he is the son of a Greek god. When he arrives at this new camp full of other demigods, half-bloods, called Camp Half-Blood, he learns that Zeus's lightning bolt has been stolen and Percy himself is the prime suspect. So this is the first book that Rick Riordan put out in this extended demigod universe following the Greek gods and their children. So the first book we have here is The Lightning Thief, followed by The Sea of Monsters, which is book 2 in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. This is followed by the 3rd book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series, The Titan's Curse, followed by the 4th book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series, The Battle of the Labyrinth, and finally this 5-book series is wrapped up with The Last Olympian. And concluding the original Percy Jackson and the Olympian series, we do next go to this novella bind-up called Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Demigod Files, which if you really just wanted to read the actual series, these books really aren't necessary to fully understand the plot. They are just enjoyable if the series is something that you do enjoy. So along with some interviews featuring some of our favorite characters from the series, we do have Percy Jackson and the Stolen Chariot and Percy Jackson and the Bronze Dragon novellas that you will find in here. So next up I'm going to talk about the Heroes of Olympus series, which is 3 months after the events of the Percy Jackson and the Olympians original series, but it ties in both Greek and Roman demigods. So the premise of this series is that Percy has gone missing, and it follows these 3 new demigods, Piper, Leo, and Jason basically wakes up on a bus and has no recollection of anything except for his name. So when Annabeth follows a clue to find Jason, thinking that it'll lead her to Percy, it is up to the 3 of them to figure out where he is and why he disappeared. And the Heroes of Olympus series starts with the first book, The Lost Hero, and the Lost Hero is followed by the 2nd book in the Heroes of Olympus series, The Son of Neptune. And next we have the Mark of Athena, which is the 3rd book in the Heroes of Olympus series. And next up we have the House of Hades, which is book 4 in the Heroes of Olympus series. And this series is concluded by book 5 of the Heroes of Olympus series, The Blood of Olympus. And following the events of the Heroes of Olympus, we do have another novella bind-up called The Demigod Diaries, including new short stories, games, and more. Again, not something that is 100% necessary to understand the main plot, but it is something that is really fun and enjoyable if this is something that you like. And inside this book, along with the games and more, we do have the Diary of Luke Castellan, Percy Jackson and the Staff of Hermes, and Leo Valdez in the Quest for Buford. So as Heroes of Olympus was essentially a sequel series to Percy Jackson and the Olympians, we are kind of going to move further on with this next one, which is the Kane Chronicles, following the story of Carter and Sadie Kane after they find out they are descended from the pharaohs and are magicians of the Egyptian gods. If you like, you can read the Kane Chronicles first. There are a couple of references about the Greek and Roman demigods and the happenings in different areas of New York that might kind of go over your head if you haven't read the first 2 series first, so I do recommend reading the original 2 before this one, but this one really does kind of stand on its own, so it is possible to read on its own. but it does start with the Red Pyramid, which is the first book in the Kane Chronicles, followed by Throne of Fire, which is book 2 in the Kane Chronicles, and this trilogy is wrapped up by the Shadow of the Serpent, which is book 3 in the Kane Chronicles. And following the Kane Chronicles, we do actually get to see our first interactions between the Kanes and the characters that we know and love from the first 2 series in Demigods and Magicians. Percy and Annabeth meet the Kanes. This book features 3 short stories following Percy and Annabeth meeting up with Carter and Sadie. First Percy and Carter meeting up and Annabeth and Sadie meeting up on separate occasions, and then all having to come together to fight a common enemy. And the received novellas are The Staff of Serapis, The Crown of Ptolemy, and The Son of Sobek. So now we're moving into a bit of confusing territory. We've read the Percy Jackson The Olympians, The Heroes of Olympus, and the Kane Chronicles. What do I do about the last 2 series, which are the Trials of Apollo and Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard? And honestly, these 2 series kind of take place at the same time, so there's a bunch of different ways you could read them, but I do have the chronological order here for you. So we're going to start off with book 1 to Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard, The Sword of Summer. The series follows Annabeth's cousin Magnus Chase, who is a homeless teen living on the streets of Boston, who dies and goes to Valhalla and discovers that he is the son of a Norse god. Lots of chaos ensues after that, and Magnus and his friends are trying to track down this long-lost sword in order to prevent the Norse Doomsday, also known as Ragnarok. And following the first Magnus book, you can read the first book to Trials of Apollo, which is called The Hidden Oracle. And Trials of Apollo follows the events of Heroes of Olympus. So it is essentially a sequel series to Heroes of Olympus, where after the events of the final book, Zeus cursed Apollo by turning him into a mortal and he fell to Earth. Now, Apollo needs to serve out a sentence to serve a demigod for a series of tasks before Zeus will re-grant him his godhood and allow him back into Mount Olympus. However, for the time being, he is a pimply-faced, awkward 16-year-old kid named Lester Papadopoulos. So after we read the first book from each series is where it kind of gets tricky, and next up is the second book to the Trials of Apollo, which is called The Dark Prophecy. Following the events of The Dark Prophecy, we do switch back over to Magnus for book 2, which is The Hammer of Thor. And then, because it can't get any more confusing than that, we finish the Magnus series with book 3, The Ship of the Dead. And of course, the adventure doesn't end there with the end of the Magnus series, because there are, say it with me, a novella bind up, and this one is called 9 from the Nine Worlds, and it follows the different tales of Magnus and his friends in Valhalla. And thus, the end of the switching, I promise you. We continue next with book 3 to the Trials of Apollo, which is The Burning Maze. And finally, we have book 4 to the Trials of Apollo series, The Tyrants Tomb, which is currently the last book published before the Tower of Nero, which is book 5, and I believe the last book in the Trials of Apollo series, coming this fall. And after the Trials of Apollo series is ended, I'm sure we will see more novellas. I really hope we get to see something from Apollo's point of view, because I do think he's a phenomenal narrator, because he's so funny. He's still just as cocky as Apollo was, but he is a pimply-faced teenager, so he doesn't quite get the message across like he used to. I do have a theory that eventually there will be a big series where all of our characters have to come together, everyone from the Magicians, Hotel Valhalla, Camp Half-Blood, Camp Jupiter, all to fight some kind of common enemy that really does connect through all different sorts of mythology. I'm also excited to see whatever he decides to delve into next. I think there's a lot of options that he could do, and I really can't wait to see where it takes us. So there you have it, guys. That was this guide to how to read Rick Riordan's books in chronological order to ensure the best reading experience possible. I do hope you enjoy it. Please be sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already by clicking that button down below, and you can also hit that bell icon to be notified every time I post a new video, because I do upload every Monday and every Thursday on this channel, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!